Hello, it's Rick. This is technically the first part to my video of the fraud in family court on June 29th, 2016. What you're about to hear is the audio of the first part of the hearing. What happened was after I dazzled her with some legal questions, and I filed a couple of judicial notices, which require judicial notices and a motion to vacate for lack of jurisdiction to a family fraud judge named Carol Stokinger, who then took it because I guess my questions were too difficult to answer. She handed it off to a new family court judge named Robert I. The initial, they always have initials because they have two different names. They have a legal name and then they have their birth name. Anyway, his name is Robert Ian Caloras, Caloras, and he used to be a clerk, I believe. He's a lawyer, but he was a clerk with the Supreme Court, so he used to type up all the orders for these judges. Anyway, I guess he was so good at it, they appointed him a family fraud judge, and he replaced Fran L. Lubauer, who was the other family fraud judge who participated in this fraud against myself. So the Sudeep Kaur, the woman you're going to hear speaking, she recessed for about a half hour and ran away. And the video is the second part. So what you're going to be hearing now is the audio. And we're arguing over service of the petition. Now, what's funny about family court, they're hysterical. My children are over 21. Now, I also done some research. There are no laws for emancipation. If you are to go on Google and you Google what is the emancipation age in New York State, all you get are opinions from lawyers, from all their, this lawyer, that lawyer, the other lawyer. There is no law like a, ABC 1, 2, 3 law anywhere. Now, I know that a child is an adult as soon as they turn 16, and from what I understand, they can also be emancipated at 16 if they were to petition the court. But when you pay child support, you have to pay child support up to 21 or higher if the court deems it for whatever reason. And the reason for that is because New York State and all other 49 states, they are involved in this fraud to receive federal monies for collection of child support. They receive up to 66% for every dollar they collected. I've stated this in my other videos before, which is why they enforce it to 21. But if you're receiving public assistance, it stops at the age of 18. As soon as your 18th birthday arrives, the money automatically stops coming. But when you're paying child support, as in my case, I have to go to court and tell them, hey, stop. My son is 21. Hey, stop. My daughter's 21. Or they'll just keep collecting. So I had to file a petition, and I went to court in March and served my ex-wife by mail. And she didn't show up. And this woman claimed I didn't serve her properly. And now she adjourned it because she's the queen of adjournments. She adjourned it till June 29th. Now, a friend of mine and I went to my ex-wife's home, or my old home, and my son was there, so we handed the summons to my son. And while speaking to my son said, oh yeah, mommy knew. Her lawyer called a couple of weeks ago and told her we had court at the end of the month and she's been waiting for this. So my ex-wife was well aware, but because of a creepy lawyer, Martin Pollock, they are going to deny acceptance of service. Now I have to serve them personally or by process server, but everything with myself is done through the mail. It's hysterical, the double standard. So I need you to listen to this video. It gets good. She refuses to answer relevant questions such as, why are none of the orders you issued not recorded with the clerk's office? Now, for everybody who's going to be listening to this, you got to understand something. If you're paying child support in New York State or any other state, the child support business, which is all it is, they're obligated to the law just like everybody else. And in order for you to owe a debt must be recorded with the county clerk in which the proceedings are held. Okay? That's like if you're pulled over by a cop. I'll give you an example. If there's a warrant out for your arrest, what happens is the warrant is recorded with the clerk's office. And then when the police officer runs your name, it shows that there's a record with the clerk's office that there's a warrant, a bench warrant for you, and you must be brought in. Okay, that's how they keep records of these things. Except in family fraud court, they make up their own orders, then they send it to their partners in crime, the child support agencies. Now, they all work for the same people. The support hearings are inside the court, but the room that you're in, or technically you're in the building, the court, but the proceedings are not family court proceedings. They're support proceedings. They're administrative proceedings. That's the first trick. Okay? You walk in, you got to stand up. All right. You got to raise your right hand. This is all trickery. You got to call the support magistrate, judge, Your Honor. She's not a judge. And listen, they definitely don't have any honor. They just trick you. They'll leave you living in a shelter. As one guy reached out to me, told me he makes a good living, but he's living in a shelter with his wife, his new wife, because they destroyed his life, these animals. So what everybody who's listening to this, what you need to do is you got to go to the clerk's office and you got to demand a copy of the money judgment that you owe money. Then you could take that money judgment, that the proof that you don't owe any money, you take it to the child support office and you tell them that you don't owe a penny. And then if you must, you pull out your trusty old phone and you dial 911 and you have the police respond to that child support office and you make them aware that you don't owe any money. And because nobody's done this before. These are ideas that I have because I'm a retired police officer. And, I wasn't a douchebag out there harassing people. I actually did my job, and I actually respected the Constitution. So let's start the video, the recording. And if it's a little low, just bear with it a little while.
All right, this time I'm going to move to dismiss the petition. There was no service effective in accordance with the CPLR. My understanding is that the petitioner handed a copy to the respondent, his son, the 2 days ago.
Can I have an affidavit of service?
I have an affidavit here that Mr. Pollack has been in contact with my ex-wife, so she was well aware of the proceeding. My son stated to me I have a sworn affidavit from my friend. He's sitting in the car. I do. So Mr. Pollack is in communication with my ex-wife that she was well aware of the hearing today.
Okay, I'm going to return this letter to you because that's not admissible.
Why not?
It's your sworn statement by who, sir?
Well, it says his name right there. What objection? Point of clarification for rejecting this evidence.
It's addressed to you because I'm first let you review what your affidavit states.
Well, how can you say that it's on my desk?
Julia, June 26th. 2 days before today's court date.
3 days.
It has to be.
No, but right here. Mommy was waiting because her lawyer called and told her that she had court at the end of the month. Father, me, became angry because I know that this court has been communicating with him. When I showed up here in March, because I delivered it by mail. How come I'm allowed to get everything by mail, but I have to personally serve them?
What do you mean everything by mail?
Every order I've gotten from you was supposed order.
Orders.
Yeah, no, they're not orders. But anyway, the judgments.
Orders are fine.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why can you send it to me through regular mail, but I can't serve them by regular mail?
Orders to them is also okay. It's
Why?
the service of a petition that's fine, sir, that needs to be that personal service.
Why
that's
are we
what
here? Why are we here anyway? Why do I have to come here when my children, my daughter's 23 years old, she's close to 24 now.
Can you spit out your lungs?
No, I can't. My mouth is dry. What law am I breaking by chewing gum?
It's against the policy.
What law?
You're not
Policy?
supposed to chew gum while you're in court.
Listen, first of all, you know I don't like it. I don't like it. Good. Okay, so you have to follow the law too. Okay? So let me ask you this. Every order you put against me, how come none of them are registered or recorded with the clerk's office as a money
We're on
judgment?
issue right now, we're on the issue, sir.
No, we are on that.
Your issue is not, your service is not complete because it's not.
It is complete. None of your orders are recorded pursuant Family Court 460. Every money judgment must be recorded with the clerk's office.
On the affidavit.
No, we aren't here on that. I have every right to raise jurisdiction whenever I want.
Counsel, you are objecting to the service?
So this affidavit doesn't mean anything, that he's been in contact with.
The service of the subject child cannot make.
What law are we citing that I can't serve within 2 days? What are you talking about? You just make up laws as you go along.
And by the way, she's saying the subject child. My son is my son is 21 and a half years old. So he's not a child anymore. A child ceases becoming a child when they turn 16 years old. So you see what I'm dealing with. I will never win here. I'm basically here more just to bust chops and to show the fraud. And I just regret that I didn't video this portion, but I got decent audio. So I have I have evidence of the whole sham. Okay, but you heard it. So I have a signed affidavit, a sworn affidavit. My friend, we went before Notary Public, and he swore, and he was there. Right? We didn't make this up. And she won't accept it because it's proof that my ex-wife was properly notified. She was notified by her shady lawyer. Now, what you're going to hear now is that he's going to say, well, we still want child support. And she goes, well, you have a copy of the stipulation? He never has anything, this guy. He shows up to court with a briefcase with newspapers in it. He never has anything with him. He's a finagler. He's a piece of shit. So this woman, based on what he's going to state, he claims that I'm supposed to pay child support till my children are 22, which is a bunch of bullshit. Okay? Get ready to listen.
So you obviously have not reviewed the CPLR.
I reviewed CPLR 5016 that states that every money judgment has to be recorded with the clerk's office. That hasn't happened. I also know that every order must be signed by a judge and signed by a clerk. That hasn't happened. So, on the record, I don't know a penny. But you caused the death of how many $120,000, $140,000?
Now, counsel, let me ask you this. The children are emancipated by age.
Okay, you just heard there. She just stated the children are emancipated by age. Now, get ready to listen to this. She's just going to go create her own law again, as she's always done. And by the way, I've been contacted by a few men who've been dealing with this woman. I have a friend of mine I grew up with. I ran into him a couple weeks ago. He got screwed over. So this woman is she's a, what do you call it? A serial criminal person. All she does is commit crimes. She just abuses people. She doesn't do that to me. She's afraid of me. But I spoke to one man where she threatened to arrest him, and she ordered him to go out and earn more money. Can you believe that? This woman ordered him to go earn more money under the threat of arrest.
Naturally, they don't have the stipulation. What is the law?
I did see the stipulation.
I believe it goes to 22.
It goes to 22.
Objection.
Yes, the youngest son Richard is in college. The oldest child, Bridget, is over 22.
He's talking about my daughter, Bridget. My daughter, Bridget, graduated college 2 years ago and is working. So she's been technically emancipated by their crazy laws for 2 years. And this moron is going on about child support for my daughter. who's got a master's degree now. So not only does she have a 4-year degree, she has a master's degree, and she's